everybody, welcome to the first video of 2025. I'm Maria. I do knitting videos, knitting vlogs, reviews, deep dives into knitting topics, all kinds of things. Hi, welcome if you're new here. Today we are going to do a review of my Seeknit Curve needles. I have been a fan of the brand for maybe around 2 years now. And I have posted a review video about a year ago where I'm talking about my Seeknit Shirataki premium set, the needles in there, how they feel, how they compare to the KnitPro range, all the different connectors that you can get, the pouch that comes with it. It was quite in depth, and the comparison between the KnitPro range was there too, which I think loads of people have as their interchangeables. So if you want to see that, I'll leave a link up here. But I had kind of two main quarrels with the Seeknit needles. The first one was that the joint between the cable and the brass connector was not perfectly smooth. So if you were knitting with a really fine sort of like lace weight yarn, or with anything like a linen that can't fully like twist together just because of the way the fibers are, then you would notice a snagging. It was just a little annoyance from an otherwise really perfect product. And the other little problem I had was that there was a lot of different connectors, which is a little bit of a faff because you have to carry a few different cables around, you have to carry a few different stoppers, and I just found it a little bit annoying and something that I wasn't used to as well. So those kind of were my two main quarrels. But it seems like my prayers have been heard, and they have come out with a new series called Seeknit Curve. And that basically completely addresses all of the issues that I've had with the original Seeknits. So, of course, I went out and got myself on the pre-order list and then bought the M set in the 12.5 centimeter length, so 5-inch length. They have come about a month ago. So I've had some time to test them out and see how I like them and whether I would recommend them. Now I'd say this is the point to hit pause, get yourself a coffee or a tea, get your whip, and let's chat about all things Seeknit needles. So since you clicked on this video, I'm assuming you know a little bit about Seeknit needles already, but if not, I want to catch you up so that we're all on the same page. I'm also going to leave a timestamp below so that if you want to skip ahead, you know when the actual Seeknit Curve talk starts. So Seeknit have been making knitting and crochet needles since 1916, and they focus on making really high precision, good quality needles out of Japanese bamboo, which is particularly hard and resilient. The two main needle ranges that they had were the Shirataki and the Koshitsu ones. Both of them are made of bamboo, but the Shirataki ones are untreated and they're just polished. So they undergo less processing and they're a little bit more soft. The Koshitsu ones undergo heat and pressure treatment, and they have a polished wax finish, so they are a bit more sturdy and durable. You can generally distinguish them by their color. The Shirataki ones will be lighter in color because they've not been treated, whereas the Koshitsu ones have a darker color to them because of the heat and pressure treatment. They have a massive range of needle sizes, needle lengths, types, so you have your fixed circulars, you have your interchangeable ones, your double pointed ones, you have crochet hooks that will attach to a cable, and you have premium sets which come with a pouch where everything can be organized and has its place, and they fold down really nicely and compact and keep everything safe without being big or bulky or heavy. Like I said, I've been a fan of theirs for well over a year now, I think coming on to 2 years, and I just love them. I knit everything that I possibly can with them, and if I don't have a particular needle size and I know I'm gonna be needing it for a project, I do go out and buy them because they are just that good. And to date, none of the needles have broken, none of the cables have broken, none of the connectors, everything's still in perfect working order. So now let's talk about what Seeknit Curve is. The biggest change from Seeknit Curve to the sort of original two sets that they were selling, or are still selling, the Shirataki and the Koshitsu ones, is that Seeknit Curve features a seamless joint between the cable and the connector. And in their own words, this makes needles that have a beautiful flowing shape to create a more comfortable knitting experience and allow the yarn to glide over smoothly. And I do think that just hits the nail on the head. Now, besides the seamless joint, there's also a few other tweaks and changes that they've made. You now have a stainless steel joint, And you have two connector types, the M1.8 and the M2, which will fit onto needle sizes 2mm to 3.25 or US 0 to US 3. And the M2 will fit onto needle sizes 3.5 to 10mm, which is US 4 to 15. The Seeknit Curve needles are only available in the Koshitsu variation, so not the Shirotaki anymore. And as always, they have environmentally friendly, FSC-approved paper packaging for all of their needles. Now, the range of sizes is quite massive. I have gotten a little leaflet with my order, so I'll just leave a little clip of it here so you can pause the video and have a little bit of a look. The premium set comes with 11 sizes and a pouch. You have a choice between 6 centimeters up to 15 centimeter long needles. They come with multiple cord lengths, they come with stoppers and with connectors so that you can join two cables together. And their paper sets come with either 4 or 5 needle sizes, which again you can choose between 6 up to 15 centimeters in needle length. The stoppers and cables of the original Seeknit needles also fit onto the Seeknit Curve range, so there's minimal kind of waste in that area. And as always, they're all made of bamboo, so you have to be careful with moisture because bamboo is a bit susceptible to moisture and growing mildew. Now that we know what Seeknit Curve is all about and how it's different to the original ones, let's compare it a little bit more to the original needles and see if it's worth the upgrade. So the biggest difference between the Seeknit Curve range and the original one is the seamless joint. And I really do think that they have sort of like hit the nail on the head with it. It is truly a seamless joint that allows for a very smooth glide of the yarn onto the needles. There's absolutely no more snagging, there's no more tugging in any way. It really is a very pleasant knitting experience, and the seamlessness of the joint has just sort of perfected it that little bit more for me. They've also changed the metal of the connector, so they're not brass anymore, they're steel, which is just a little bit less upkeep, I guess, because the brass connectors, and I have noticed it with mine, they start to tarnish and grow a patina over time, which you could clean off if you wanted to. I don't really think it makes a difference in terms of the knitting experience. Some people might just find it a little bit annoying and not so great looking, so they'd like to clean it off. That's something that you won't have to do anymore with the steel. The third change that they've made is they've reduced the amount of connectors. So there's only 2 connector types now rather than the 3 which were with the original set, which just means there's less cables that you need to carry around with you, less stoppers to carry around with you, which also means less stoppers to lose. Thank you very much. And I think it's just making it overall a little bit easier to use everything. The last little change is that you only have the Koshitsu variety here instead of the Koshitsu and Shirotaki ones for the original set. I think they've done it that way because it's just a more durable knitting needle and it just speaks to their aim of producing quality. I guess that's why they have only selected the Koshitsu set to be used in the Seeknit Curve range. What stayed the same between both of the sets is that they still have a laser engraving for the needle size, which means it can't rub off over time and you'll always see it and you don't need to carry these little annoying needle sizers with you all the time. So now, my opinion, I think I've let it show already that I'm a big fan of them. They have really addressed the 2 main issues that I've had with the original set, which were the joint snagging and not being completely seamless and the range of joints that you had. I think they have really truly managed to make this joint absolutely seamless. There is nothing that snags or tugs anymore, and I think these needles are really truly an absolute unique and precision designed and crafted knitting tool. And I don't use this word lightly, but I really do think that they are absolutely perfect, full stop. I think the knowledge of the craft and maybe the fact they are listening to their customers and taking feedback on board has led to them creating such a, like I said, perfect knitting tool. It's truly outstanding to me compared to all the other needles that I have knit with. And you might think, ugh, well, it's just knitting needles, but it's not just knitting needles. If you're spending hours a day using them, they are your tool as a knitter, and any sort of craftsman will have their tool and will appreciate a truly well-designed, well thought out, sort of perfectly engineered tool to do their craft with. And that's just what these needles are for me. And that's why I love them so much. That's why I love talking about them so much. And that's why I have gone out and bought another set, even though I now have, I think, 3 of the 3.5 to 5 millimeter needles in my stash, but I use them all and I love them all, and I am really glad that I have them. And I personally never felt like any of the Seeknit needles that I have bought and used were a waste of money. Now the big question is, should you buy them or not? You might think the answer seems obvious, but there are a few instances where I'd say don't buy them. So I would say absolutely yes, go out and buy them. If you want to explore Seeknit, don't go to the original range, just go for the curve range. It's a little bit more pricey, and we'll talk about price in a minute, but it's well worth it. It is just that little bit better in terms of knitting experience. And if you don't have any Seeknits, then that's the range I would absolutely go for from the start. And I think the 4 size sets are a really good starting point because the price point is lower, and that gives you a nice range to test out on a few different projects, especially if you want to always gravitate towards projects of the same yarn thickness. You'll probably need the same needle sizes again and again. So it gives you a chance to test it out, see how you like it, and then you could decide whether you want to go for one of the premium sets, which has more needles in it and comes with a pouch. Now, what if, like me, you already have one of the premium original sets? Is it worth the upgrade? And in that case, I would say, no, it's not. The price point of these needles is quite high, and I think the difference is noticeable, but minimal. So I will not go out and buy a premium set of the Seeknit Curves. What I did is I went out and got the M set in the needle length that I prefer, which is the 12.5 centimeter ones. And I just got the 3.5 up to 5 millimeter size range. And so now I kind of have my most commonly used sizes in the curve range. I think I'll also get curve needles for the sort of like 2 millimeter, maybe up to 3 millimeter range, just because those are thinner and I usually use really thin yarns with them, or plant-based yarns, which aren't wound and twisted as tightly, and you can often see the individual strands, and that's often what caused the snagging issue for me. So if I have a project coming up with those smaller sizes, I would go and buy one of the Seeknit Curve interchangeable ones for them. Now, we were touching on price there a little bit already, but let's look a little bit at the differences in pricing between the original set and the curve set. So in the UK, you can get Seeknit needles from a few different yarn stores, but the stock isn't always the best there, and I don't think they get them in very regularly. If you know like specifically what you want and you want what you want, then I would say check out the Seeknit Etsy store. That's where they sell all of their range. Literally everything is on there. Everything will be shipped from Japan, which means it can take a little while, but I've ordered from them before and things have arrived literally within 3 days. If you wanted to, you could also go onto their Seeknit online shop. So if you go onto their website, they have a separate web shop now where you can buy all of the sets again. I've seen all of the curve sets on there at least. And what you can also do is you can pick and make your own set there. So you can pick between 6 and 12 needle sizes and create your own favorite needle set in that way. On Etsy right now, the Koshitsu Premium 2 set, which is one of the original sets that they had, comes with 11 needles and costs £162.75. I'll put down the dollar amount for that right now here. If you were to get the sort of Seeknit Curve equivalent, it would be the Premium Curve set, which is £188.30. So that's a little bit of a price increase there for the curve. If we're looking at a smaller set, the original Koshitsu M5-inch set, which includes needles from 3.5 up to 5 millimeters, and that's US 4 to 8, that's costing £51.61 right now, and the Seeknit Curve equivalent would cost you £64.56 at the moment. What I wanted to say is if you do order from their website, you will be liable for any tax and extra shipping. Right, and that's it. There you have it. That is my little review of the Seeknit Curve range. And if you want to get a little bit more of a deep dive into the original set and see how it compares to the KnitPro interchangeable range, then I would recommend my previous video to you right now. If not, then I hope to see you again soon in another one, and I cannot wait to produce more videos for you in 2025. I am so excited for all that's to come. So have a lovely rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye! Thumbnail! Okay, done!